e te iwi and welcome on in to UFC on Sky, and importantly, welcome to Fight Week for UFC 308, where the featherweight champion Ilia Topuria will be facing the BMF champion Max Holloway. And here to talk with me about it today and a whole lot more, 5th ranked UFC lightweight Dan Hooker. Kia ora and welcome back to the table.
Thank you. Welcome back to my table.
Yes, you can have it.
Well, this half over there.
Yeah, it is a half. Yeah, there's no milk on the table today. Oh well. But look, you've been out.
The anger complaints came through.
We've heard complaints. No, but look, you've been travelling around the world, as you have been doing a lot of lately, and you ended up over in Spain for Bare Knuckle FC, and of course, as always, making headlines.
I try my best.
Tell us more.
No, it was cool. Like, it's an incredible event. Everything they've got going up over there, like entertainment, it was just an absolute show. Like the whole piece. There's a huge after party after the exhibit. Playing Dizzy Rascal, which I was growing up watching as a kid, going to his concert, so it's cool jumping around the ring with him. But yeah, we just kind of snuck our way into the ring, bumped into Conor, had a bit of a chat, mainly about beer. But what you chat about, talking about beer is also fighting. Yes. But yeah, he went out of the ring and he announced that we're fighting early next year. Definitely, like, obviously I'm not going to turn that fight down, but I'm not a silly man. I know time waits for no one. It's not like I'm going to sit around and wait for anything like that. I'm good to go for that February date, or March will look like my next fight, but I'm ready to go early next year, back in the gym, back training hard. So yeah, it's kind of, I'm ready for early next year, and who the opponent is. It'll look like someone in the top 5, or whether that's Conor McGregor or not, we'll get that thing squared away in the next couple of weeks. Nice,
because as I told you off camera, I have had so many people saying to me, Rav, can you tell us, is it confirmed? Is it officially official? Is Dan fighting?
Yeah, well, it's like he's keen for the fight, I'm keen for the fight. Like, it's just whether the UFC kind of gets in line with that. Dana White already got asked about the fight as well, and Dana White said that he's very interested in that matchup, or that's a matchup that makes a lot of sense for him. You know, Chandler's sitting there and saying he gets the first bite of the apple, but it's not really the way the cookie crumbles, my friend. Like, Chandler's already coming off a loss. So it's like he loses to Charles. Like, it really makes absolutely no sense for Conor McGregor to get in there and compete with him. So I feel like even if he gets out there and he loses to Oliveira in their upcoming matchup, sorry, brother.
Sorry, not sorry.
I'm cutting in, champ. Catch you later.
Once again. Well, it's the one thing that I thought was so exciting was that A, your name is in that mix to fight someone like Conor McGregor, but B, that Conor McGregor is potentially ready, hopefully, to return. Yeah.
Oh, he's definitely like keen to compete again. I know. I'm sure he'd be keen for a big cash injection that he'd kind of get from a fight. And I'd just say, like, he obviously agrees that I'm the next fight that makes the most sense. You're top 5 coming on a win. A lot of the top 5 in the division are coming off losses. Even Michael Chandler is coming off a loss as well. He's kind of getting gifted Charles Oliveira as a title eliminator, as a reward for sitting around and waiting for Conor McGregor, which, it's a tough fight for him. I feel like, you know, he's already coming off that loss of Charles Oliveira. For him to get by Charles Oliveira would be a huge ask.
Well, it seems like since you've hit the top 5, you're a right fit for a lot of fighters right now.
I think
whether they're in your division or not.
I think damn near. Yeah, I've had 4 of them mention my name in the last couple of weeks. Poirier, Gagey, Arman's mentioned my name. So there's a lot of potential fights there. You know, obviously for me, any of those fights make a lot of sense. We'll see what happens with the title between Islam and Arman, whether someone gets injured or, you know, that fight's still quite a way to go before they both step inside of the cage. But also Dustin Poirier said that he's looking for that fight. Justin Gaethje said that he's looking for that fight as well. It doesn't really make sense. Like, obviously Poirier wants the one back against Gaethje, but it's very hard. It would be a hard sell after Gaethje had such a dominant knockout victory with the head kick over Dustin Poirier. And the golden rule of rematches is never take a rematch unless you think you can do better than the last fight. That's like the golden rule. So for how does Justin Gaethje do better than just a head kick, KO, knockout?
How does
he think?
Him? Yeah.
Because as a fighter and as the mainstream audience, if you do any worse than that, then you're on the decline. Like even if he edges Dustin Poirier on a decision victory, people start to say that, he's on the decline because last time he knocked him out. They don't genuinely necessarily understand the sport and how it works, and that if those two guys fought 100 times, there might be 100 different outcomes to that fight. The mainstream audience is that if something happens in the fight, then that's how, if they fought 100 times, that would happen every single time.
And I think I, for one, would always be, but that one time Justin Gaethje got the doesn't matter if he did the fight. Yeah,
like he's saying 1-1, but it's like that's pretty much that's a seal the deal. It's the same as Israel versus Fajita. You know what I mean? Like why take a rematch unless you think you can do better than the last one? That's why I thought that the Conor McGregor fighting Dustin Poirier after knocking him out at featherweight, taking that the second fight against them, like why? When you've already knocked the guy out, like why give him an opportunity at doing any better? And then you obviously got TKO'd in that fight. It's just it's a bad look. That's the golden rule, brother. That's the golden rule. Unless you think you can do better, don't. That's a golden rule of rematches.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, look, another name that's on the table for you, and you've even mentioned this person, is a guy that's featuring this weekend, the BMF champion, Max Holloway. Now, I know a lot of fans have been pretty keen to see you fight for that title because they think that you very well do fit that title of BMF. So, is that something that you'd want to chase as well? Yeah,
well, I think from like that is that's the fans' title. That's not even, no one can call it. Like Ilia saying, Max put the BMF on the line. It's like, that's not you, brother.
Yeah.
That's not our title. That's not the normal titles are rankings, like everything has to make sense. The BMF title is something that's for the fans. So I feel like, but a lot will come down to how he goes this weekend, you know what I mean? And how much, he cleans Ilia up. Do we want to see a rematch against, a fourth fight with Alex Volkanovski, or do we want to see Max in there against someone fresh? I think coming off wins, someone that qualifies for the BMF, besides, the other two that qualify is kind of Poirier and Gaethje, and they're both coming off of losses.
He has options himself, Max Holloway. So let's get into this fight. We'll start at the top of the ticket. Ilia Topuria, current featherweight champion, up against Max Holloway. Now, we've watched Max Holloway for the last 12 years. That is crazy. 12 years. This week will be his 30th UFC fight. This will be Topuria's 8th. But within that time, he's become champion. So before we get into Max and all the reasons why, we think and know he will do well, let's talk about Ilia Topuria. I want to get your thoughts on him in terms of he's had like an ascension through the division and is now a reigning champion. Yeah,
obviously incredible fighter, very powerful hands, very good at what he does, but I just feel like his skill set is quite limited to that boxing and pretty much a low kick. Like he does have incredible takedown defense. Will be Max Holloway be looking to take him down? I would hedge my bets against it. I feel like this will be a striking affair, and Max Holloway is one of the most elusive and one of the most dynamic. Like his ability to switch up his offense and to try different techniques and just a variety of attacks, spinning kicks, like he can kick head to body, to legs, from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes. He will tear up. Incredible boxing as well. So, I feel like the advantage will be at that kicking range, which I feel like Max controls a lot better. And Ilia is, obviously being undefeated and rising to the top in the fashion that he has risen to the top, it'll be very easy to drink the Kool-Aid, but I've seen all over Twitter, he's calling out, he's saying he's going to beat Islam Makhachev, and then after that he's going to go up to welterweight and beat Bilal. It's like, eat what's on your plate, brother. Like, you got Max Holloway on your plate, and that's an incredibly big meal. Let's get through that one first before we start locking our eyes on lightweight and welterweight titles. Yeah, drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and it isn't only this fight too, because he talks about how he's an evolved MMA fighter. He's a part of this new wave of MMA fighter. But the stuff that happens outside the cage is stuff we've seen before, and people have compared him to Conor McGregor. He himself has said he's looked up to Conor McGregor in terms of the taunting, the smack talk, the psychological warfare. So what are your thoughts on what he's trying to do with Max leading up to the fight?
Definitely, like that's a big key is him saying like he's the new wave of MMA fighter, but I think he's we have to check the records, but it's like 2 years, 3 years older than Max, younger than Max. It's not like, it's not a huge
5 years.
It's not a huge gap in terms of age, and obviously with age comes a lot of experience. As we're saying, Max Holloway's been fighting at the elites of the world for the last 12 years. He's been competing at the highest levels of the featherweight division for many, many years, been a champion, been through those hard fights. So yeah, it is youth versus experience in this one.
He's done something that Max Holloway hasn't been able to do, and that was defeat Alexander Volkanovski. So how much confidence must Ilia have coming into a fight against Max Holloway, knowing that he got that defeat over?
Yeah, like I don't know how much we can
take away from that.
Take away from that. Obviously, it's a different time frame. Obviously, Alex kind of jumped into that Islam fight at the last minute, a week's notice, flew over to Abu Dhabi, and maybe should have had a little bit more time off before having the Ilia fight. So yeah, I wouldn't look into that fight too much, purely because like we know that strength of schedule is a huge thing in mixed martial arts, like who you've been competing against leading up to that. For Ilia, well, young guys coming up, it's like doing the Sean O'Malley is the best bet you can possibly have, which is getting to the title without fighting the toughest guys on the way there, because obviously fighting the toughest guys consistently on your way to the title is going to lead to an accumulation of knocks, an accumulation of damage, an accumulation of stress on your body. So you're trying to get to the title or trying to get to that huge opportunity with the least amount of miles on the clock, which Ilia's done an incredible job of doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's turn our attention to Max Holloway. Where are the keys to victory for Max?
I think that kicking range, I think his versatility, he's obviously showed that against the Gagey fight, like that his team is incredibly smart. We've learned that from the adjustments that he's made. Seeing the adjustments he's made between the first and third fights, like he was always improving, he always had a new attack, and he's always had a very strategic way of breaking down his opponents. So I'm sure that they'll have something in store, they'll have a very solid game plan for getting the better of Ilia. So it comes down to his versatility and his just the knowledge that his coaches has is kind of second to none, I believe, in this world. Quite
an intriguing matchup. Before we jump off this topic, I just want to talk about the lineage of featherweight champions, which is Jose Aldo, Conor McGregor, Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski, and now Ilia Topuria. When we look at those past four champions, they're not only former featherweight champions, they're in their own right the greats. And that's the expectation now that we now have of a featherweight champion. Do you ever think Ilia Topuria could rise to that?
Definitely. Seeing firsthand, being over in Spain just last week, and seeing how the potential of the sport there, it's obviously an incredibly huge market, and they're hungry for MMA. So I'm hearing about huge things that are going on inside of like the combat sport thing. And then you see what he's done since he won the title. You know, he's going to football stadiums, and he's kicking off the ball in front of 90,000 fans. Like it's incredibly huge. And also hearing Dana White saying that he has ideas to not only take the UFC and break new markets in Africa, but he's got ideas to take and break new markets in Spain also. And obviously a huge proportion of that relies on Ilia Topuria's success this weekend.
Absolutely. Wow. We will be watching that fight very, very closely. I'm kind of guessing you have a bit more of an invested interest in the Max Holloway side of things. But let's take a quick look now at Robert Whittaker, the former middleweight champion, up against Khamzat Chimaev. It appears the fight is actually going to happen. So
yes, we still have time.
We still have weigh-ins. But what are your thoughts on this matchup? And perhaps why do you think Robert Whittaker has been, I don't know if the word is adamant, but to have this battle with Chimaev?
Oh, I'm not so sure it's like his battle. like I was saying, it's strength of schedule to get a guy to the dance with the least amount of damage that they can possibly have. And obviously after, a 9-pound weight miss by Khamzat Chimaev, welterweight is well and truly in the rear vision mirror when it comes to the UFC. So obviously they have his sights on that middleweight division. And not only that, but they're trying to get him to the middleweight title with the least amount of damage possible. And so to fight a guy like Robert Whittaker, who has consistently been a #1 contender for many, many years now and a former champion, like Khamzat Chimaev wins this fight this weekend, he will, without a shadow of a doubt, be in Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia fighting for a UFC middleweight title. So he's one fight off a title without beating a ranked middleweight. But yeah, we know money talks when it comes to this game.
Yeah, absolutely. With Robert Whittaker, can you say the same for him, or is he kind of in the spot at the moment where he's like the gatekeeper? If you get through Robert, you're buying yourself a ticket to
I wouldn't necessarily call him a gatekeeper. I just feel like it's an incredibly strong division. A lot of those big names have come off the back of Israel. He's made superstars out of Sean Strickland. He's made a superstar out of Dricus du Plessis. But yeah, he's been able to keep Robert Whittaker at bay. So I just feel like the strength of that middleweight title and his results against Israel Adesanya, when you compare it to Strickland, you compare it to Dricus, is reason why I wouldn't say that a UFC title shot is in the bank necessarily for Robert Whittaker, but it definitely puts him kind of next in line. It's just a strength of schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think in the future that there will be that fight again between Whittaker and Adesanya?
Again, never take a fight unless you think you can do better than the rematch. Unless it's for the title, which means that your hand is forced. That's kind of the rematch that they had. He had that big successful one at UFC Melbourne where Israel knocked out Rob. But then obviously the next fight, it's because Rob fought his way back to #1 contender. He not only demanded the title, he fought for it. He was the #1 contender, so they had to give him that rematch. But then it was again a unanimous decision victory for Israel Adesanya. So to think that the fans are crying out for that fight to be a next one, it's like, yeah, it's kind of the same as the Volk versus, even if Max wins this weekend, it's like, do we really want to see a fourth fight then and there as the next fight? We'll see. As we all know, the fans dictate a lot of what happens next, especially in the UFC. What they want, money talks, and the fans are the ones that are buying the pay-per-views and giving them hard-earned money to see these fights. So it's like comes a lot down to what the fans want.
They've both told me in the past that they would like to fight at Eden Park. So maybe.
Does it have a roof?
No, but
would I trust the Auckland weather to not?
The seed I'm trying to plant here is perhaps a fight at home.
I think Eden Park would have to get a nice shiny roof that could close that thing before the UFC came.
We have Spark down the road, but.
We do have Spark. We do have Spark. We do have one covered stadium here in Dunedin, Forsyth Bar.
We do.
It's
quite classy down there.
It is quite classy, and I know that we do have a huge UFC fan base down in there. I've been to many events down in Dunedin, so I'm adamant that we could fill that baby up with the stadium show.
Absolutely could. I like that idea. Before we get off the topic of this, I just wanted to mention Khamzat Chimaev hasn't fought in a year. Robert Whittaker's 2 wins in this year alone. How much of an impact does that make?
It comes down to the fighter. The guys like Dominic Cruz, who multiple ACL surgeries back-to-back, spent a lot of time on the shelf and then have come out and put on some of their most incredible performances. So we've seen a lot of guys just brush it off. Like, this guy is in the gym every single day. He's training hard, and he's still had his eyes locked onto that top echelon of the division. So I can't say it'll affect them too much.
At the iwi, joining me now from Abu Dhabi is the former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker, ahead of UFC 308. Kia ora e hoa, and welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, look, the last time we spoke to you, you were on this side of the planet as well, getting ready for your last fight. So is there a little bit of familiarity now when you're landing over there and getting ready for these fights?
Yeah, certainly. From last fight, we've this fight, we've done everything the exact same. We've stayed in the same hotel. We've got the same setup. We've got the same training, the same gyms. You know, it's the comfortability factor of just knowing the lay of the land has helped heaps.
Absolutely. And I mean, not to mention the same opponent. I mean, same and not the same, considering you did fight a different opponent, but preparing for the same opponent again back to back. How has that experience been for you?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. You know, it only plays into my strengths. It plays into my hand really well, because I was supposed to fight him, last fight, but now I have a whole nother camp for him. I have a whole nother camp and fight under my belt. I'm just that much more experienced. I'm just that much more better at what I've been doing. So, yeah, no, he's just, he's putting himself at a disadvantage.
Somewhat. He has been quite inactive over this past year. But I mean, how much is that an advantage for you? You weren't able to fight him in June this year. You had a fight anyway. You've been quite active. This will be your third fight this year. Yeah,
I've been fortunate to be in a position where I can fight as much as I have. I've enjoyed it. I feel like I've covered a lot of ground, made a lot of mileage, and yeah, why stop?
Look, you started in this game in 2012, well, in the UFC anyway. Obviously, you were fighting long before that. But are you still learning? Are you still evolving? I know that you are one of the most evolved fighters we have seen in the UFC, but are you still learning along the way?
Oh, definitely. You know, I feel like I've only just really started to hit some solid strides in the last few years, made some big changes, and I feel like in the last few fights, you've seen the results of those.
Yeah, absolutely have. Look, Khamzat Chimaev, when you weren't able to fight him in June gone, was it always the understanding that he would be your next opponent after the opponent you had?
Not particularly. It's just I saw that there was an Abu Dhabi card. I saw the time frame. I'm in tip-top shape, and I thought, let's do it. They wanted that fight to happen anyway. I'm sure he does, regardless of how he wasn't able to fight. So here we are. No, I do thrive for these tests. Yeah. I enjoy putting myself through the gauntlet. I like having these hard trials, because I just feel like I grow so much from them. Mm.
Well, considering you're in the top 5 of the middleweight division and have been for a very long time, you're fighting guys that other guys in the top 5 haven't even seen yet.
Yeah, it's I don't know. You know, it's just part of one of the perks of being up there for so long.
Yeah. Well, and well deserved too. But, you know, in the case of Khamzat Chimaev, it's a very intriguing fight. You know, a lot of fans can't wait to see how this comes out. And not just, to see you back in the octagon again, but to see how Chimaev is even going to look, against a middleweight fighter.
Yeah, I think, I'm one of the most dangerous guys in the UFC. And this is going to be a test for him as much as it is for me. I'm going to get in there and put my best foot forward, and I don't think many people can handle that.
You look really excited too.
Yeah, like I come here for a mission. The end is in sight. 6 days from now, 5 days from now, I'm doing my work. I get the opportunity to come in here and do what I was put on this planet to do. So I can't wait.
New Zealand's newest MMA event, Stealth Fighters League, makes its maiden voyage this Friday at Trust's Arena and will be showcasing New Zealand's latest talent coming through the MMA ranks. And I got to watch some of that at Oliver MMA Soth Auckland. Check out the team.
I started in about 2002 with Steve Oliver. There was a small group of us from South Auckland that were keen to have something a little closer to home. So we started just training out of a local recreation centre. Did that for about 6 months, 8 months, and then bit the bullet and bought our own space and brought Oliver MMA out here to South Auckland. The talent was out here. They just needed a space to do it in. John, who's running the gym now, came out and started training with us, learning jits. We brought out the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling. He added the Muay Thai element to it, and then we had our MMA combination. It's something that's 10 years in the making. It's a long process, and we're just finally seeing the products of all our hard labour. There's just an army of guys coming out of here now with a really, really decent level of skill.
Got Anthony Vitale on SFL, on Stealth Fighters League that's coming up at the end of the month. Ants is pretty good at the moment. We've been preparing, we've had some help from Auckland MMA, which we appreciate very much. We call him our captain. He's our Captain America of the gym at the moment. We've got a lot of young people coming through, and I think Ants and a few other ones are good role models.
Talk to us firstly about Stealth Fighters League and providing an opportunity for fighters like yourself to be able to get the experience on a big stage like that. You must be just bursting at the seams to just jump in there and have a go. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's the first for this promotion, and I feel honoured and privileged to be able to sort of represent our little gym in South Auckland on the big stage in New Zealand. Now I'm just excited to sort of showcase what we've been working on. It is an individual sport in there, but like I said, got the backing from my team, my coaches, and yeah, just excited to put on a show.
I think South Auckland, we just bring our culture from home to the gym. David Tua, Mark Hunt, you know, these are guys we looked up to for many years before some of us even touched the mats. Mark spent a lot of time out here in the early days when I was setting up. Money can't buy that. It's just, yeah, South Auckland pride. David Tua's come out here and spent some time with the boys as well. Every time I see him, says, "Is there anything I can do for you?" You know, it's just the culture that is natural in South Auckland, I think.
We come from all different walks of life, but we all sort of bond in the same sort of culture that we've got here. And one thing that we all pride ourselves on is our heart. Yeah, you can't teach heart, but our team here's got plenty of it.
For us, I think we're trying to establish South Auckland fighters from a South Auckland gym on the world stage. That's pretty much where we want to go at the moment. But it's good, like we have a good culture here at the gym where everybody uplifts everybody, so there's no egos here. Everybody just helps uplift everybody.
Yeah, well, the opportunities are there now, you know. SFL, Arsenal X, places like Shuriken who've been slogging it out a long time in the amateur and pro. And SFL adding to it now, that's awesome. You know, it's opportunities that just weren't there 5 years ago, you know, so it's really picking up. We're really lucky, but at the same time, I think we weren't prepared. And now with all the opportunities, I think we are prepared now to give a high level and something that we can export to the world.
When everyone is watching you competing at Stealth Fighters League, what kind of fighter can they expect to see?
Forward pressure fighter, try to be exciting, trying to put on a show, trying to go for a finish.
Kia ora to the whānau at Oliver MMA Soth Auckland. Also featuring on the card on Friday night is the return of Nyrene Crowley, and she joins us in studio today. Kia ora e hoa, welcome back.
Kia ora, Rav. Thank you so much for having me.
Look, exciting this week. We get to see you finally back into the cage, having an MMA fight. How psyched must you be for this week?
Oh man, I think the biggest thing for me this week has just been trying to calm my excitement more than anything. I think it's been a long time in the making. It's kind of like the comeback times two, you know, so it's been unfortunate, but yeah, I'm very, very excited.
Look, it's not every day that we have wahine at this table, so that's a huge plus. So thank you so much for coming in. But you are also the only female fight on this card as well. So talk to us about that and representing our wahine toa.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of normal to not have too many female fights on cards, so I'm always really happy and very proud and humbled to be representing women in MMA, and especially on cards like this, like the Stealth Fighters League card it's got a lot of hype around it now, and I think the fighters reflect that. So to be featured on this card for its first season here in New Zealand, fighting at home, I'm so excited, and yeah, I'm going to be representing, my whole team are going to be representing well. Nice. So.
Well, talking about the whole team, you're of course based out of City Kickboxing,
yes,
as is somebody else at the table. So, you know, talk to us about that
say
team.
It like that, bro.
Well, I didn't want to leave you out. Okay, feeling a bit so getting cold over there. But talk to us about the team and the preparation, getting ready for a fight with, you know, fighters like this surrounding you.
Yeah, we're very lucky at City Kickboxing. Everyone already knows we've got the top tier fighters from the entire planet under one roof. So it's to be able to have people like that surrounding me. I've got great teammates around me that have provided good bodies that I need to push me in the way that I need to be pushed, and just the camaraderie of the gym. Like we're a family, you know, and I'm very, very excited to be sharing the cage with my gym brothers. 5 of them, there's 6 of us on the card, so yeah, it's representing kickboxing is an honour in itself. Yeah.
Nice. As I mentioned in our intro, this is Stealth Fighters League's, maiden voyage. It's their first card here in Auckland. So talk to us a bit about the card, the promoters, and why this was a good fit for you.
Yeah, so obviously the promoters, Moses and Ron, they've done a great job just kind of setting this promotion up. It's not an easy feat, and I think with them, they've kind of had their learnings through creating a massive show like this. They've kind of just gone 0 to 100. There was no bleed-in for them. So I'm stoked with the way that they've handled it. They've always been great to me. So I have high hopes that this show is going to be one of the best in the country, I promise you.
Nice. Dan, talk to us about Nyrene Crowley. What's she like in the gym?
Yeah, a little Tasmanian devil, I guess. She's just always working hard. It's just like the wallpaper down at City Kickboxing. I guarantee you come into the gym, she's going to be there with a smile on her face and always working hard in every single session. Obviously, had a couple of serious injuries like back to back, but to see someone persevere through that and on the other side of that is something that I tip my hat to and I can take a lot of motivation from as well.
Yeah. Nice one. And look, you mentioned that there's, multiple fighters on this card, and obviously on this poster we can see James and Cam there. So opportunities for your teammates to be, taking part on platforms like this.
Oh, huge. So these boys that ran the last one, Ron and Moses, they ran the last Hex show, and promotion-wise, event-wise, marketing-wise, buzz around the city, it was incredibly huge, I would say. So they've taken a risk and rolled the dice, and they're running their own show. So I've got very high expectations for this. I feel like in terms of, as a fan and atmosphere in the arena, that Hex show there, you have to tip your hat to. These are guys that have been in the promotion game for a very long time, promoting music events, promoting clubs and stuff like this, so they know what the people want, and the people want is not only fights but an incredibly great atmosphere. So I feel like it's just raising a new standard of fight shows in New Zealand as it's SFL one. If you're other promoters, it's not only about putting on great fights, but it's also making it a very entertaining time for the audience, and these guys is going to be second to none. So I'd say get down to this fight show this weekend and just get ready for an incredible night.
Yeah, I feel like you two are kind of swapping roles this weekend.
We'll see. I might not be actually on. She's the announcer. I'm not gonna.
To cards, Wano, if you go to local cards, you will see Nyrene doing post-fight interviews with our fighters. She knows everyone and anyone and their fight journeys. She does a fabulous job inside the octagon. But this time, obviously, you're fighting, so you're going to be out the back. But this one's turned up and says, "Hey,
they're giving him
it's like anything Dan Hooker does, but it might go good.
Everyone's going to be holding
maybe good. Sometimes maybe bad. Like we were really, we'll be holding our breath. Me is like, even I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, no matter how this goes, you'll both be on camera because we will be there with the camera. So we're hoping that this happens. And if you start sweating bullets, that will also be a great sign.
I do not sweat, brother. That's one thing God bless me with. There's no anxiety in my dial.
Just a nut. Look, Nyrene, for those who perhaps haven't seen you in action before and who will be getting down to Trust Arena this Friday to watch, what can they expect to see when they see you take the octagon?
Oh man, I'm just going to be having so much fun in there. Like I said, I'm just so excited. I think this will be the first fight where I've kind of gotten through quite a bit in terms of like injuries and I've faced the worst that the sport could possibly give me, and then I think what they're going to see is just me just showing the world and showing myself too just what I'm really capable of. I think fights before I've just kind of not been in the right headspace or not had the right team around me or the right support around me to shine the way that I know I can, and so I'm going to be shining. I promise you. There's going to be not only me, like I said, like my teammates have all been training so hard, and the whole fight is just going to be, the whole fight night is just going to be jam-packed with entertainment, I promise you, yeah.
So proud of you and really excited to see you back in there. I know you really want this and excited to be in there. So all the very best for this weekend. We will be watching. We may also be watching you too. I don't know. You just never know with this guy. But Korua, thank you so much for joining me.
No
Thank
trouble.
you. Thank you so much, Rav.
Whānau, that information again, SFL, Stealth Fighters League is on Friday at Trust's Arena, October the 25th. Get down there and support your local fighters. Also, UFC 308 is this Sunday. Head over now to Sky Arena or Sky Sport Now to book that pay-per-view. Until next week, hei kōna mai.
One of the best of all time, Max Holloway! He wants to show that he's the greatest featherweight that ever existed. I ain't the one to play with it. Ilia Topuria! He is a real assassin. 15-0, 13 finishes. Khamzat Chimaev! A force unlike anything the fight game has ever seen. Robert Whittaker, the man